The new indie game Marvel Rivals just came out with a plethora of beloved Marvel heroes, but there are still a lot of them missing. So as a really professional animator, I decided that it would be really cool to bring some of the new heroes to life as an MVP animation. I started with picking a hero to animate, which is really important because it's a hero shooter, so heroes make it at least 1% of the game. I wanted to choose a character who has been referenced a bit in some ways, and is a certain pool. That's right, Gwenpool. I'm sure like 2 people got really happy right now, but for the majority that doesn't know her, she's not some Gwen Stacy variant. She's actually a big comic book fan from the real world who was transported into the Marvel comics. So Gwen knows she lives in a comic world and takes advantage of that many times during her wacky adventures, with time developing powers to manipulate the pages. I picked her because I think she's criminally underrated with a lot of potential for many stories. Also, she'd be a lot of fun in Marvel Rivals. She could like go out of bands because she knows it's a game, but I digress. Also, believe it or not, if you squint your eyes hard enough, she is technically indirectly referenced in the game. If you want to know more about the character, just read The Unbelievable Gwenpool by Christopher Hastings and illustrated by Giruhiru. Maybe don't read the other ones. With that out of the way, let's get to work, but we need a 3D model to create the animation. Happily, my girl was in Fortnite, so that's one of the major hurdles out of the way. I just imported the model into Blender, which is my 3D software of choice, then proceeded to give her a small makeover to make it more akin to the Marvel Rivals art style. I painted some of the shadows onto the model and then added some color variation to the face. I also added a messier outline of her. So this is before and after. It doesn't look that different and it's far from perfect, but it's not an art style study video but a silly animation one. Speaking of silly, it's time for the reason you clicked on this video. Animation. Sorry for blueballing you, but every animator knows that we first need to get some reference footage. Otherwise, we risk the animation to look bad because we can't imagine the complicated movement in our head. It's like when you're trying to draw a house from memory. I could record the reference myself, but last time I checked, I'm not a blonde superheroine wielding 2 katanas. So to match the Marvel Rivals tone, I decided to binge watch all the MVPs and intros from the game. I decided to combine the clips of Luna Snow, Hugh Jackman and Psylocke. So this is a video that I ended up with. But to make it more unique to Gwenpool and not just recycle the animations, I decided to incorporate some of her most iconic poses like these ones. And with that ready, we can finally move on to animating. To be honest, the animating process is not that interesting to talk about. I just created the key poses and planned out the camera movement. I really wanted the shot to be dynamic, but also convey Gwenpool's playful and wacky yet unhinged vibe. Then I make breakdowns so that the poses would flow better in between each other. After that, I stared at it for a while and added more breakdowns, then stared at it for a while and then added more break. You get the point. It's interesting to note out that I animated to the camera, so the movement looks really funny from the other perspective. After all the poses seemed okay, I moved on to the spline, where I tried to glue everything together to make it smooth and nice. Wow, amazing, we have our animation, but when you look at this, and then at Marvel Rivals, you may notice some differences in the presentation. Like, this doesn't look like it would belong in the game. This is where compositing comes in, where we can take the render and separate it into different passes to achieve the game's look. I've identified 2 main effects that can bring us closer to the desired look. The side light that is always present and the diffuse pass mixed with the shadow pass that gives us the comic book feel. And we can achieve that thanks to the Blender's compositing program.
What the fuck is this?
I mainly followed this tutorial, so I will leave the link in the description. And if we compare before and after, we can see a massive difference. And with some other tweaks that are too boring to list, here we can see Gwenpool in her full animated glory. I am really happy with how it turned out, but I definitely want your opinion. To be fair, I think the landing could be better because I'm not really happy with the pose, but it could be fixed in a sequel video if anyone's interested. Like the video and subscribe? Maybe. But that's not the only thing I worked on. I'm actually really busy working on my cyberpunk short film, so if you want to know how I created these two protagonists, watch this video. Also, if you're high in a Disney ladder, maybe give me rights for a Gwenpool show. Thanks.
Do it for her.